Y'all ready to paint? I hope so, because this is what we're about to do, and it's going to be so much fun. I'm getting ready to paint our girls trip painting, and I've gone around a lot of the lines with a Sharpie because I'm repurposing this canvas from a paint party where I had an extra a while back, and I figured by the time I do another one of that design, I won't remember that I had it, so I just put down a little bit of white paint to cover the extra lines, and I'm just using it for our girls trip party. And also, I was going to kind of outline a little bit in black anyway, so I think that is going to help with that in the long run. And right now, I'm just taking some Bahama Blue and this little inexpensive brush. It's probably maybe about a 1/4 inch, but it's pretty flexible. You can tip it up on its side to get in small places. And I'm just, the instructions on your, anyway, if you get this tracer, your instructions are gonna say to use a teal mint, and you can use whatever blue-green you want to, but I just decided to go with the Bahama Blue, and just make sure you get in between their little hats and arms here. That is, I always forget the little places like that. But just get in there, and I'm just doing that before I forget. And you can use a smaller brush for this part if you want to, but again, this brush, you can just tip it up on its edge, and it really does a good job for small spaces. So right now we're just painting the water, and then we're just gonna blend that with some white to make the sky. And if we see that we need to, we can add in a little bit of blue, but I want the sky to be really light anyway, because you know how sometimes when you're at the beach and it's so hot, and the sky just almost looks, I don't know, bleached out is the best way I can think to describe it. Like it, you know, sometimes it's blue, but sometimes it's not. And I just want to have a little bit of color in our sky, but still a fairly pale sky. So I may go ahead and use this same brush to get around their hats and everything, but I'm just taking a little of this and a little white, and we're just gonna blend it. And if we see we need more white, then we'll go with that. But we're just transitioning right here from, and I think we do need more white, from teal to solid white. And I've gone over the birds with the Sharpie, and hopefully they're still gonna show through when, I still think I got too much teal in there instead of the white. I may give that a good, you don't have to do this, but I'm just gonna spritz that a little bit and see if my paint will move a little. Yeah, I'm liking that. Just get a good little washed out sky look going. Don't take a lot of pains with it, and like I said, this little brush will get around those hats real easy. And if you get over onto the black lines, it is okay, because we're gonna touch up those outlines in a little bit anyway. So let's finish this up right quick, and we'll go ahead and start on the beach part. Now, once you've got all that blended in like you want it, you just want to take a little bit of this navy blue and just go right along where the horizon would be, where the water is meeting the sky, and just do a line of navy blue there. Just to kind of delineate water and sky a little bit, and also just to give the illusion of far away water. Do the same thing on the other side. And then if you want to, you can add in just a little bit of this navy to the sky. Only if you want to, though. If you're happy with it the way you have it blended, that is perfectly fine too. I am just going to take a little bit of white and blend down a little bit into the water. Just a tad of white. We don't want a whole lot, but just a little bit there, just to give that illusion. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of a bigger brush. This is about a 1-inch wash brush, and I'm going to dip one side in the white and just barely touch a little navy in there, and just work a little bit of that into the sky too, just for a little bit more of a blue sky. I think I'm going to need to spritz that just slightly to get it to go on a little bit better. Well, it's really not wanting to blend at all. I mean, it's blending, but not like I wanted. Could be because I didn't have very much paint on there at all, and something is getting into my, must be some more paint crusties. I don't know. But just getting that kind of blended in. I don't know. I think, let me do once more. Just a little white and just a tiny touch of the navy. And just some little strokes and back and forth motions, and that ought to get us what we're going for. You can actually do the sky and the water, though, any way you want to, because, you know, water looks different places in different parts of the world, and beaches definitely look different in different parts of the world. Not that I have done just a ton of traveling, because we didn't even go on beach vacations when I was a kid. We did not go anywhere, but since I've been grown, I've mostly been to the Gulf Coast, Gulf Shores in Alabama, and I've been to Panama City Beach, Florida a couple of times, and Mexico Beach, Florida. We love that. And one time we went to Tybee Island in Savannah, and the sand there, you know, we were used to just the sugar white sand from the places we've been before, and it's not. It's almost like clay. That's the Atlantic, I think, right there, and it's almost like clay. And then when we went on a mission trip to Nicaragua and went to the beach on one of our slow days down there, just for a few minutes, just for maybe half an hour or so, just to get to see it, I was amazed at the different kinds of shells and the different kind of sand that they have there. And I guess that's the Pacific. I'm not sure. I'm a little geographically challenged, but anyway, you just make your sky and your water any way you want it. Now on the water down here, I have taken a little bit of white and just gone in to just make it look a little shimmery. So just however you want to do that. And now we're going to start working on the ladies' hats while this dries good enough for us to paint in our birds. We've still got to get our birds in the sky. That's going to be easy though. You can do that with a Posca pen, or you could do that just with a small liner type paintbrush. But to start their hats, we're going to be using this DecoArt milk chocolate, but any kind of brown, a medium brown is going to do fine. So just whatever works for you. And I'm going to go back to this little brush that I'm so crazy about, that is so inexpensive, the one I got in that multi-pack from Amazon. And I'm just going to start painting in the brown of their hats. And then we'll come back and highlight it a little bit. If you get over onto the black line, that is not a big deal, because we're going to be coming back and shading a good bit. So, in fact, if you paint over the lines altogether, I think that's going to be fine, because we're going to be shading and touching up. So, well, I got onto the ribbon too, but I don't think that's going to matter either. This brush makes it really easy. You just lay it down flat against any little edges and just, it's very flexible, so it can get in there for you very, very easily. And your brown doesn't even have to look like it's smooth on there, because like it's straw hats anyway. And then by the time we've shaded, you're not going to be able to tell it if it's a little rough looking or has a lot of brush strokes in it. It's going to be okay. And I'm just going to take the very edge, the tip of one edge there, and get in these little places just between the bow a little bit. Same thing right here. I'm just tipping it up on its very end. But if you feel more comfortable using a little small round brush or a liner brush with this, do it. It's all in what makes you feel comfortable and what you like. So I'm just going to speed us up a little bit and do the other hats in brown. Now, once the hats are brown, we're just going to take a little bit of this white that we used before and start doing a little bit of shading. And don't overthink this part, but we're just going to get some shadows going in around in here. So just like accentuate the crowns of the hats a little bit, just by getting you some white on there and then tapping some of it off to just kind of give it a little dimension. And then you can see where I kind of got out of the lines right there, but the ribbons on the hats are going to be a different color anyway, so it's not really gonna matter. Now let's go in and just give the hats just a little bit more of a little something something down the sides. Just keep it simple. You don't have to think too hard on this. You just don't want them to look flat, I guess is the main thing. So I'm just gonna try to give it a little bit of pop, like where the sun's hitting it, I guess. Yeah, I don't love that right there. Let me see what we can do. I'm just going to get a little more brown. That's the good thing about it. If you do it and you don't love it, paint back over it. It's all right. You're not going to mess it up beyond the point that it could be helped. You know, really, I like that better anyway. With the little, with white and brown kind of smudged together. I'm kind of liking that. So, you know, just do it however you want to, and just play with it till you're like, yeah, I like how that looks. That's all I'm doing right here, is just playing with it till I really like it. And also, I think with a little bit of that white mixed in, it's a little bit of a lighter color, and I really am digging that for the hat color for these straw hats. I think that really works good. I think I'm gonna have to have a little bit more white though. You don't need much, but that was drying up pretty quick, so I'll come in with just a tad more. And again, if you get it down and you see you don't like it, that's the good thing about acrylic paint. You can just paint right over it, and it is not a big deal. I got too much brown back on that, but again, we're just playing around till it looks right. Just playing in the paint. That is one of the most fun things about painting, is just getting to play in the paint. And to me, I feel like I learn a lot just playing in the paint. More than I would in a lesson or something normally. Just doing it for myself and seeing what happens. That's my best learning style, I think. Hands-on learning. There's a lot to be said for that. This doesn't have anything in the world to do with painting, I don't guess, but that's the way I learned to cook too. My mama she was chill about it, and you know, if I messed up the kitchen really bad, she didn't fuss on me, and she would clean it up. Like, I would have made me clean it up if I'd have been her, but she wanted me to learn to cook, and so she just let me get in there and have at it. And she said when I was learning to make biscuits, she'd come in and I'd have every surface in that kitchen covered with flour, and she just rolled with it. So I tried to do the same thing when my daughter was learning to cook, but I did get frustrated sometimes with the messes. But she is a really good cook now, so I'm glad I let her mess around in the kitchen. Some things just are easier to learn when you can do it hands-on. And blending paint is definitely one of those things. I'm still learning myself. I've always liked to do artistic things and all, and I had dabbled in acrylics for a long time, but not consistently until about a year ago, when I retired and I was able to paint more. But I'm still not anywhere near to being like an expert. That's okay. You don't have to be to enjoy painting. Now I'm just taking this little round brush and some of that navy that I had left and making some deeper shadows on the sides of these hats, just to kind of I don't know, give it a little something going on there. Just a little bit out that way, and then if you feel like you got too much of the navy, you can go back in with some brown. Really, we're just creating some cool shadows on here now is all we're doing. And just giving the hat a little bit more definition. And then if you wanted to, you could also go back and even like line the brush, the hats in black if you wanted to. And you don't even have to have brown hats. You could have red hats if you wanted to. Whatever suits you. Just, again, just playing in the paint, figuring out what you like. That's half the fun. You can do it just like what I'm doing if you want to, but you don't have to. There's all kinds of different ways to go about this. And I'm just kind of right here, just kind of getting where I kind of got out of the line just a little bit, and it looked a little ragged, rugged, whatever. I'm just kind of evening that out a little bit. And then after this, we're going to start working on some skin tones. And just like you can make the hats any colors or shades you want, you can do the same with the skin tones and the hair and the bathing suits. That's what I like about this painting, is you can make it so many different ways. There's just all kind of options. And if you want to just tap some of that paint off and smudge in a little bit right there to make that shadow, I think that's gonna look really good, just to create some little shadows going all around. But really, I mean, this part's really optional. I mean, I don't think it's absolutely necessary for you to have all this shading going on your hat. But if you do want to do that, it is pretty fun. So we're just gonna finish that up. And jump in and get started on some skin tones. Okay, so for the lighter skin tones, some peachy paint would have been great, but I didn't have any. So we're going to use this color called Cactus Flower, and it's some of the DecoArt And I have clearly gotten way too much pink in it. I've seen people with pink tones to their skin, but that's a little much. You know what? I just thought of something. I think this buttermilk color would probably make a good skin tone too. So I'm going to mix in some of that instead of just the white. And then with the darker skin tones, we can use some, oh, that's more like it. For the darker skin tones, we can use some brown and pink and white, I think. So, yeah, that's better. Maybe a little more pinky in that. There's so many different shades of skin. It's, so you can just play with the colors and get it any way you want it. But that's what I'm doing for our first girl. Just some, white and buttermilk and that cactus flower color. I probably should have painted them to look like they had a little bit of a sunburn, because I don't know about you, but it does not matter how much sunscreen I apply and reapply. When I go to the beach, I usually end up with some degree of sunburn. Not as bad since I've gotten older, because I'm very careful now, and I used to would get my shoulders burnt so bad that the next day I didn't really even have fun. And so now I try to wear a shirt the first day, at least most of the time, over my bathing suit so I don't get quite so cooked. But that's her leg right there that we just painted. And then we'll get her other arm over here. And if you want to do this, in fact, I think I'm going to do this with a smaller little round brush, because that gets in all the little nooks and crannies a little bit better. So I guess this little lady would be like a peaches and cream or strawberries and cream complexion, and we'll give this next one a little bit of a suntan. Give her just a little more of an olivey look. So, yeah, I think that's going to do for our first lady. Now for the second lady, let's add in just a touch of brown and see what we come up with. Because we want their skin tones to vary some. I mean, it is very uncommon for two people to have exactly the same shade of skin. But you can do it any way you want to. I'm just trying to get it kind of like foundation when you're... I've mixed different colors of foundation before trying to come up with the right shade for me. But see, that's just a little darker than our first girl. And I'm just going to rinse that same... well, that's not it. What did I do with it? Oh, that round brush. There it is. Let me rinse that out just a little bit. And I'll go ahead and get this arm first. And I am going over these black lines some, but we can always touch them up later. I really like her skin tone. And I think they even make some skin tone paint colors in the DecoArt. I'll have to, like, don't quote me on that. I'd have to double check, but it seems like I remember seeing some skin tone paints on the DecoArt site. So if you don't want to mix, just look for some paints. I know for sure they make crayons and skin tones now, so I feel like surely they mess with paint too. But that would make it simpler than mixing up a bunch. But yeah, I'm all over those black lines. Not worried about it. We'll touch it up later. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to, you have to really think about what's what here as far as arms and legs. And I think this was supposed to be one of her legs. So, go in here and, yeah. That's leg right there. This right here, these little spots, that's beach. And we'll fill that in with our beachy color when we come back. Okay. Now, we're just, I'm just going to mix in some more brown for our third friend. And again, do this any way you want to. Make skin tones that suit you and your friends, or just whatever. Let's make her a little more brown though. I used to try so hard to have a good tan. I fought the genetics hard, baby. Like, this is terrible, but I would start to the, this is back when you tanned, or a lot of people tanned, and I would start going to the tanning bed in, like, February, and keep it up through probably October or so, and I was ruining my skin. I just didn't know. And I knew about skin cancer and things like that, but at that time it was more important to me to be brown than it was to take good care of my skin. And now I think, how could I have been that crazy? But I was, and I would not dare go out of the house without a pretty tan in shorts. Like, now, sometimes I look like Wonder Bread most of the time, and you know, I don't even care. Like, I just go out, white legs and all. Now, would I like to be tan? Absolutely, but I'm not gonna do the things to my skin that I used to do. And I would lay out before I started going to the tanning bed. I would lay out in the backyard on a black tarp with suntan oil and just lay out there till I was literally fried. I can remember having water blisters and just not caring, just desperate to have a tan. And tans are pretty, but I just don't think it's worth it. This past weekend, I used some fake bake on my legs just to give me a little bit of a little bit of color of some kind. And if you want to do some shading on your girls, just go back in with another color and tap most of it off, and then just shade them that way, kind of a dry brush kind of thing. And you don't even have to do this step, but if you want to. just give them a little more light. With the really light girls, you can go in with the brown and do the same thing. Just kind of give them a little bit of some shading there. And just kind of like we did with the hats, just back and forth with the lighter and the darker colors till you get it just like you want it. And this is, again, just really an optional step. I don't think with these skin tones you would necessarily have to do any of this, but if you want to, you sure can. And I think I got a little bit too much on her, so I'm going to try to go back with some of this lighter that's still left over and kind of touch her up a little. You see, it just kind of gives her a little shadow there. Just blending it out. Okay, so I think that's it for our skin tones. Now, on these bathing suits, you do them any way you want to. This is a time when you can add your own touch to this painting and really have fun with it. But I will tell you the colors that I'm using just in case you want to do them like this. And I'm going to go ahead and do the ribbon on her hat before I start on her bathing suit. But this is Tuscan Red. So I'm doing the first bathing suit in Tuscan Red. The second one I'm going to do in Purple Pizzazz. And the third, Saffron Yellow. And these are all DecoArt Americana colors, because I love me some DecoArt. It just gives you really good coverage, and I just like it. So anyhow, just getting these little ribbons done. They're all just, and you don't have to make the ribbons to match the suits. I am, but that's just me. You know, you do the ribbons any way you want to. I think it would look really cool with just a coordinating color instead of matchy actually. So it's just all up to you. So I'm just using this little round brush for this, because these are kind of little areas where it's harder to get into, and the little round brush just makes it easier. So let's go ahead and get their ribbons and everything painted, and we'll come back to do the sand. Now I've just put down some more of that milk chocolate and some buttermilk along with that sand gray that I've been using, and we're just gonna see if we can make some little shadows like up under their honeys and stuff, like where they're sitting. So I'm gonna mix just a little bit of the milk chocolate with a little bit of the buttermilk, and then add just a touch of that sand gray, and then see if I can just make a little, maybe a little bit more brown. And a little bit more buttermilk. Anyway, and then I'm just going to go up under their rear ends. Yeah, that needed, well, that might be okay. I thought that might need a little bit more milk chocolate, but I think that's going to be all right. We're just making like a little shadow where they're sitting. Yeah, let's do add a little bit more brown and do that again. And just kind of go on up to the edge of their bottom to start your line, and then just kind of, well, I got over onto my yellow with that. I didn't mean to do that, but we can fix it. Just kind of blend that a little, just to make your shadow. I'm gonna grab this big brush and kind of dip it in a little bit of water and just really blend that out for our shadow. And I probably used too much water, but see, I keep getting it on the purple for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, now I'm just going to take, I've got probably, let me get some of this buttermilk and put down just some of that. And then a completely dry brush. And I'm just going to get some paint on the brush and then tap most of it off on my plate. And then just give some little streaks on the sand just to make it not look so flat. That's the same thing we did on the water when we were first starting out, and just kind of play with that and streak it up a little bit, and just, like I said, make it look not quite so flat. And you do the same thing down here along the bottom too. And then if you want to, if you have a little spritz bottle, you can kind of give that a little spritz and just kind of get that all. I know I said we were going to dry brush to begin with, and I thought that would be the best thing, but you can still see some of the streaks if you do that. So I think that's going to be good. And let's just get that other side. Just trying to make it look like sand. So we've got that looking pretty good. Now we need to think about their hair. Hair can be kind of hard, but we're going to do it the easy way. I'm going to start with the girl on the left, and we're going to make her a blonde. So I'm just going to start off with some of this saffron yellow, just like we did for the bathing suit on the other side. And the base layer of her hair will be yellow, and then we'll do her up some little highlights and such. So I need to rinse these brushes out. Okay, so this is going to look a little really yellow at first, but once we tone her down a little bit, I think it'll work good. I may have to grab my little round brush though to get in these small places. Sometimes that's going to be a little easier. And for the higher, you know, you can do the colors that you and your girlfriends have. This is the part where you can just, or one of the parts, there's several in this painting, but this is one part where you can just really make it your own and add your own special touches. And so just play around with hair colors. You know, for blondes, you start with yellows, and for brunettes, dark browns and blacks, and mix in the highlights. And for the redhead, I haven't decided exactly how we're going to get her shade, but we are. I think she's going to be kind of auburn haired. So we will figure it out. And while Blondie here is getting dry, we're going to move on to our little redhead. And for her, I think we're going to start, since she's going to be auburn haired, we're going to start with the milk chocolate. Excuse me. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of this color. Actually, this is called True Red. And I'm just going to be real with you. I haven't done this part before. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're going to try. So, if it doesn't do good, we'll play around till we figure out what is going to look good. Actually, I'm kind of feeling that. I don't know. I think that's going to work good. So let's go ahead and do hers. This actually reminds me a lot of my son's hair. He's a kind of darker red, auburn haired kid. I say kid, he's all grown up and has been for a while, but he's got a pretty head of hair. I've been told that it's a lot like my husband's when he had hair, but he has not had hair to speak of since I've known him. And that's just how I like it. I like that bald head. I think I hurt his feelings the other day, though, because to me an 8, that's good, right? And I told him, I said, you know, when you shaved your head, you went from a solid 8 to a 12 as far as I'm concerned. And he's like, so I was only an 8 till I shaved my head? And I'm like, I thought that was a compliment. Like, I think an 8 is pretty high on the scale, but anyway, I think I hurt his feelings there. How did I get talking about that? I do not know. Anyway, let's give this baby some pretty auburn hair and then move on to the deep brunette on the girl on the far right. And we may have to do another coat of this auburn, but if you do want to use this color, it was just a little bit of True Red and a little bit of oh, what did I say? Milk chocolate. Was it? Yeah, milk chocolate and True Red. So for our final girl, we're gonna go with some black. But we're gonna soften it up some because for one thing, we want our black outlines to still show up. So we're gonna soften that up with, I think maybe just what's left of this auburn. So, well, no, because I'm gonna need that when I do the second coat on her hair. Okay, let's just do some milk chocolate. And darken it up with the black. And again, we're going to be highlighting it, so if it's not just exactly what you want, never fear, because the highlights are a lot of times where the magic happens. So we just want that to be a real deep brunette. All right. And I'm gonna have to rinse that brush. I got a little crazy with that mixing. And that's how my brushes get worn out. It's because I'm not easy on them. Not one bit. But that's the thing, when you use inexpensive brushes like I do, you can afford to be rough on them sometimes. It's okay. Because you can replace them, like the pack that I was showing you on a video the other day. I was looking around to see if it was up here, but anyway, it was a big multi-pack that I found on Amazon, and it was this brush that I'm using right now and the little brown, I can't talk, the little round brush I've been using on this painting. It had it was just a half and half pack, half one and half the other, and there were so many brushes in that one little pack for less than $10. So, you know, you don't have to buy fancy paint brushes. You could, I mean, and there's paintings where you would need those, but for anything that we do here, the inexpensive ones, I think, are a better choice. And I'm all about saving some money. And I just think about when I first really wanted to seriously get into acrylic painting, it must have been about, let's see, 24, 25 years ago, because my daughter was little bitty, and she's about to be 26 this fall. Y'all, they grow up quick. If you've got little bitties, just don't blink. But she was little, and I didn't think I had the time or the money to paint. And at the time, you know, what was being recommended were these brushes that you had to take such good care of, and each individual brush cost a good bit. And I thought, you know, I can't do this. There's no way I'm going to have the money to do this. So that was one obstacle, and just finding the time. Like, I would take my daughter to the painting classes with me, but I don't know, it just didn't work out. And now I know that you don't have to have a lot of time or a lot of money to paint. And that is one thing that I love about the paint tracers and that come with the step-by-step instructions and the supply list and all, so it just takes the guesswork out of it. I started out pretty much just teaching paint parties, and I still like to do that, but I really also love when I can sell a paint tracer in my shop, because that is such an affordable way for anybody to get started painting. And you know, I don't ever want anybody to feel like they can't do this because of the cost, because it is so good for you. If it's something you enjoy, it's so soothing and so so satisfying. And you know, a lot of times, you know, us wives and mamas, we're doing things for somebody else all the time, but we don't have anything that's just for us. This can be something that is just for you. And all I've done right there, I don't think I was in the frame. I'm so sorry. But I just highlighted that a little bit with some buttermilk and some milk chocolate on her brunette hair. And now I'm just going to take our little redheaded lady and put another coat of this mixture of the milk chocolate and the true red on her. And I'm still trying to think what I could use for a highlight on her. Might just do the buttermilk on her too. Why not? That paint's about dried up though. I'm gonna have to hurry. Yeah, I think the buttermilk will work, because I just accidentally got a little bit on the brush and it's fine. So that's one way to experiment, I guess. Okay, so I'm just taking a corner and kind of tapping some of the paint off, and then we're just gonna make her some little wavy. And don't overthink this. I'm just kind of lightly touching the canvas with where I've got the buttermilk color, and just kind of streaking it down some. Like, it's not really a technique or anything. It's just like blending it into the red in her hair to just make it not look flat. That's basically it. Ooh, I got a little crazy with that highlight, but I've had that happen to me at the beauty shop too. They got a little crazy with the highlights, but I don't do that anymore. I've gone natural, so don't have to sit in that beauty shop chair forever anymore. Okay, so there's our brunette's highlights. Now for Blondie. Let's see what we can do for her. I think I'm going to start out with just, I'm not even rinsing my brush here, because I think it's going to work. I'm just getting some milk chocolate on there, and with the very corner, just giving her some highlights. And you can use some of the buttermilk in her hair too. I think that'd be pretty. Just kind of squiggling your brush down, getting hers. And I'm going to have to touch up these black outlines, I know. But right now I'm just wanting to get some color in their hair. And if you want it to blend a little bit better even, you could always just give it a little bitty squirt. Don't want a whole lot on there, but I'm getting too much red in her hair. I think I am gonna have to do a little bit of a brush rinse. But just have fun with it. Just play with it till you like So you like how their hair looks, and if you think, well, I've covered up too much of the yellow, or I've covered up too much of the brunette, too much of the red, you can always work more back in. So that's the thing about acrylic. If you're not liking what's going on, cover over it with some more paint, because it will let you do that. It's very forgiving, but I do think I need a little more yellow back in hers. So I'm just tapping a lot of it off on the plate and coming back in. With some more yellow, and I'm actually liking hers now. So yeah, that's it for their hair. And now we'll just go in and paint those birds. Okay, for the birds, I've just got this little bitty liner brush, and I'm just gonna dip it in the black. And I can still see where we kind of sharpied in the shape of the bird when we did our first outlines. So he was pretty easy to do. And you can go back over it if you want to make it look a little more. I don't think I brought it down quite far enough, but don't overthink the birds for sure. Let's see. Right, we're just gonna go up a little for each of these, and then kind of come down, kind of like some U-shaped wings. And then while I've got the liner brush, I'm just going to touch up the spots around the bathing suits and everywhere that just look like they need a little touch up. There's places where I've gotten out of the lines a whole lot, and I'm just going to touch up. I really like how that turned out since we used the Sharpie to outline, but I just kind of want to sharpen it up a little bit in spots where I've gotten over the lines more than I meant to. So that's all we need to do with that. Let's go ahead and finish out